Hi, we're going to make a grotto for Mary. You will need the paper that has the directions on it and these curving lines. You'll need a small Mary sculpture, or maybe you make your own with cut paper. You will need scissors, some glue. I really recommend the liquid glue, either Elmer's school glue or glue all. A glue stick is just not going to do it. Glue stick, it won't stick. We also are going to need some lightweight paper. This is just a scrap of printer weight paper, lightweight paper. What also might work would be some tissue paper. So these are the things that you're going to need to assemble. You may also need a pencil. You may want something like crayons, or rather than a white paper or this cream colored paper, you may want something like a colored paper to print your grotto directions onto. The paper I use to print my grotto on is actually cardstock weight. The directions are right on here. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to fold on this horizontal line across the paper. You want to fold it so that the dotted lines are on the outside. The next step says to cut along the dotted lines. We're going to use our scissors and we're going to cut along all of the dotted lines. Most of what's left from our cutting, we will use it. There will be just a little tiny bit of waste. You may, with your waste piece, you may want to actually do something with it, so don't throw any of this away. We're going to need it. So we'll set that part aside. We'll cut off these corner pieces here. And that's a piece we may not need unless you want to use it for something, and those 4 pieces. So I'm just going to brush those off to the side. I don't know that I'm going to use those for mine, but you may want to use those for yours. My last cut will be this. And then we're absolutely going to need to cut these 2 sections apart. So I'm going to cut on the fold line as well. So I have 4 pieces that I've cut apart here. Good news, my directions are still intact. The next thing it tells me to do is to overlap the 2 arch pieces to fit on the grotto and glue in the center top and repeat with the second arch pieces. So I'm going to set this up because I need to use my grotto as a guideline. So what do I mean to do? I mean to take my 2 arch pieces and overlap them so that they fit on here. So I can take this and kind of test. Is that going to fit? Yes. Great. These arches are going to serve for the inside of our grotto to decorate with flowers and to kind of cover or overarch Mary when she's inside of the grotto. Just a little bit of glue will work. Because this white glue is strong, I recommend letting that dry before you do anything else. I'm just going to push it off to the side. And then we'll do our second set of arch pieces here. Just 2 dots of glue. This glue is really strong. Okay. Now, while you work on the other components, you can let these dry. The other components might include making some flowers for your grotto. Something you could use are some circles that you make with tissue paper. I just cut some tissue paper into circles. Something else that you could use is that regular typing paper. It's just printer paper that's a color. So I cut a little piece out of there. I also made a few flowers out of there. And I'm going to show you how to make another flower. An idea would be to cut this paper into a circle. And it doesn't have to be a perfect circle, and just be round-ish. We'll get rid of the extra. And then we're going to cut a spiral, but kind of making our lines wavy as we go. Wavy, 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 cutting as we go along here. Wavy cutting. until we get to a little bit, leave a little bit of a center. And then what you're going to want to do is you're going to curl this up upon itself to make like a little rose, a little flower for our grotto. One thing to think about as you're building these components for your Mary grotto are that if the top of your archway gets really heavy with flowers, it may sag and fall over. But I will show you what to do with that because I got very zealous about all the flowers I was going to put on my grotto, and it started to lean over, so then I had to do some paper engineering, and I will show you what I did because you could very easily do the same thing to yours and it will look beautiful and be just fine. So I'm curling this paper, curling. And then when I'm done curling, it will kind of spring out here and I will have a flower. I will need to glue this together, so I will put a dot of glue there and just push everything down and together. Okay, so those are some flower options for your Mary grotto. I've let these dry a little bit while I was doing my flowers. I'll put my flowers to the side. And the next thing I need to do is I need to make little tabs on my bottom of my arches. So then it says decorate your grotto. We will do that, and then we're going to fold the bottom of the two arches to create a tab. So let's make the tabs and then we can glue our flowers on. Now I would do more decorating before I put mine together. Some ideas for decorating would be to make the paper look like stone or rock. Another idea would be just to simply color it with another color of crayon or marker or paint. So to make the tabs at the bottom, I'm just folding this up a little bit and folding this up just a little bit. Okay, and that makes like little feet on my arches down here, and then I can glue them on. Again, I'm just going to put a dot of glue. Now ideally you need to put your decoration on first before you glue the arches on. If you glue the arches and then try to decorate, it does get a little bit tricky. Then you're kind of making your arches fall down while you're working on them. So I would glue my arches on like that. And like this. You can make one shorter, like the one in the front can be shorter than the one in the back. That's an idea. So that if you put flowers on both of your arches that they show. So you can see that the paper will hold itself up, but if I put too much onto my arch, it may start to fall down. You can kind of get an idea of how this might work. Then Mary goes there on the inside of the grotto, and it's all decorated. Okay. I'm going to show you my example, or my sample that I did, and then I'll show you my paper engineering. So Mary fits inside of here, like that. So some things that I did to mine, I drew onto the archways and made it look like stone. I used a few different colors of colored pencil, and I used some marker. I also drew on the bottom where she was going to stand to kind of make that look like stone also. I had some extra paper that had a lot of texture. I colored on it with a little colored pencil and put that in the back for Mary to make a blue background. I did the spiral cut flowers that I showed you. I also made some flower shapes just with some yellow paper, and I put a little marker on those, and I put those on my archways as well. Okay, so here are my paper engineering. I added this thick paper to the back, and then the back was too heavy and it kept falling over. So I made these little triangles to hold up on each side. There's one on each side. I also had to use something to hold up the archway of my grotto because I put so many flowers and so much paper at the top, they kept falling down forwards and backwards. So I put these, I made a tab here and there to make this one stand at the right distance from the back. And I put a tab here and there to make this one stand the right distance from the one in the middle. And then Mary just fits nicely inside of our little grotto. This would be great for if you have a little prayer space in your home, or even in the windowsill. It's nice to have Mary surrounded by a little bit of light. All right, I hope you enjoy making your own Mary grotto, and look forward to seeing what you make and what your grotto looks like when you're all finished. Bye, guys.